graphic where under Brad Stevens, the Boston Celtics have a winning percentage that tops the prior year. This year they ended up with 55 wins once again in the Eastern Conference Final, very close to winning that 7th game and making it through to the final. Gordon Hayward, of course, was missing in action, unfortunately, at the beginning, 5 minutes into the season, as we see a technical foul. J.P. McClure had something to say, and the referees just did not agree with it and called the team. Brad, it's a pleasure to have you here. We were just watching you sit in the stands, and we're trying to talk about, for players who stick around in Boston for a few years and learn the system, what is a Brad Stevens-like player? Everybody's different, they have different skills, but what would in essence be some qualities that they need to have to do well and thrive for several years in a row under your system?
Well, I don't think our system is not going to be based on anything more than just trying to play to our players' strengths and trying to figure out how we can ride those guys, because those, we've got really talented players. We've had really talented players before them, and we've been fortunate enough to get a chance to coach them. So it's not has nothing to do with a system that you're fitting people to. It's more about how you can fit yourself to them.
That's why Brad has been so successful, because he's had a lot of players in and out. They've had a lot of injuries. I'm sure you're thrilled seeing us document up here putting Gordon and Kyrie up on the board. Like you'd forgotten that happened during the year.
I'll tell you what, and those guys, I really felt for them. Gordon went through it the whole year. Kyrie in, April and May, that was hard on those guys. That is a hard thing. When you're at the level those two are at, and to have to sit and watch,
well, especially
that's
in
tough.
Gordon's case, to be looking forward so much to being a part of what you guys had going, and Kyrie to be in the middle of it, and everything was going so well, and then to have their seasons end. I mean, that's a horrible thing. I got to go back. I know you'll appreciate this. I thought when we documented that it was a JP technical, that was a shock for a former Butler coach to see a Xavier player get a technical foul.
It's not all that
amazing?
Bad. Yeah, we don't mind seeing Xavier get technical fouls. In fact, we encourage it at Hinkle Fieldhouse.
Alex Barlow, one of your former players, is with Maine, and also now will be working with Robert Williams. What is going to be his charge?
Well, that's not unusual for us. So all of our assistant coaches are assigned between 1 and 3 players, and it's to get with the players, determine what they want to improve on, determine what we think fits with how they will be used within our system, so that they can increase or expedite their curve, especially when you're a young player. We're really fortunate to have a great staff and a lot of options, and Alex is a really good coach. He's a really good young guy. He's totally eats, sleeps, and breathes it. I think that Robert will enjoy working with him, but everybody else will too. It's not something where it'll just be one guy.
Brad, a little bit of the background, the thought that went into Robert being available at 27. Of course, we're talking about Robert Williams out at Texas A&M, and maybe an update now on his medical. Will we see him again in summer league?
That's a good question. We're getting he's really day-to-day. I mean, I get an update every morning on whether he's going to play or not, so it's not like he'd be ruled out of summer league by any means. I think it's very, very possible that he could play Wednesday or Thursday, whenever our next game is. We were fortunate. We felt fortunate that he slipped to us at 27. He's a guy that can really get to the rim, play way above the rim. And the way that he can impact the ball defensively, both bigs and littles, I mean, he has incredible length. 7'6" wingspan, 9'4" standing reach. This is a guy that can really impact people with the ball.
2-time Defensive Player of the Year, obviously.
2 tries.
In a heck of a conference.
That's right.
So he did an exceptional job. Looking forward to watching him play. Hey, when you get a chance, you've got a lot of your current guys around the roster, Shemi and Gearshaw, Kadeem Allen with a shot, Jabari Bird. Your impressions of the way they've conducted themselves so far here?
Yeah, they've been good. We're looking for just small incremental gains like any other time. I think sometimes in the summer league, guys are asked to do more than they necessarily would in a game. All 4 of those guys, because of our injury situation, started games for us in the last 2 weeks of the season, and then Shemi in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And so this is a good opportunity for them to continue being on the right track. And they all work. They're all really good teammates. They're all really good guys. So it's been fun to watch. I think this is the best game we've played as a summer league team. With the exception of the end of the first half was kind of a comedy of errors, but other than that, it's been pretty good.
Now, some of your, third-line players ended up playing because of the injuries. You're getting the Hayward back. You're getting Irving back. You're getting Brown to develop. You're getting Tatum to continue to develop. How does that work? I mean, there are enough minutes for all those guys. How does that work for you?
Well, yeah, you can only play 5 at a time. So, like, at the end of the day, I think our guys understand that. We have a chance to have a good team, and we have a chance to have a team back that experienced a lot, and hopefully gained a lot from that experience. And, the most important thing when you step on a court and put a Celtics uniform on is you're trying to win that game. And that's what we all have to do. We all have to add value to that. There will be times where we all get more opportunities than others, but I gather from all of our guys that we're ready to get started.
Can you stick around?
Yeah,
he'll stick around.
Super.
Been taken in 2013-14. Ever since then, it's been smiles and smiles, and the smiles getting broader and broader and broader. Of course, you want to get to the finals. You want to win the finals. Now the East is different, right? You just heard the news today. LeBron officially a Laker. He signed the deal today. The East has changed. I'm not sure it's gotten too much easier. How do you see it?
There's nothing easy in coaching. You're trying to win the next game. Winning a game is hard, and certainly winning a series is hard, and there's so many things that go into getting an opportunity to compete in the playoffs, let alone advance in the playoffs, that you have to start in day one. You can't skip steps. And if you do skip steps, the game will tell you, you'll be humbled very quickly. And so at the end of the day, there's a lot of good teams, there's a lot of good players, and it's about who plays the best. And, we did a lot of good things last year, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen again. You have to make it happen again, and that starts when we all get back together in training camp.
Alvaro, was funny when we were talking during the commercial. I talked to Brad, and I'm saying, well, we went through this guy, that guy. We forgetting anybody? And he goes, yeah, the same guy everybody always forgets.
Nobody ever talks about Al.
How about Al Horford? It's amazing.
Al's probably, I know this, Al's probably at home watching the game, enjoying time with his kids and his wife, and not caring one bit that he's not the first question asked by everybody. I just did a media scrum with Boston media, and we talked about all kinds of things, and not Al. And Al, but that's what's beautiful about him. And you talk about a guy he's the oldest player on our team, and you can't have a better leader because he's only cares about winning. That's the only thing that matters to him. That's why he plays. That's how he goes about his business. He sets a great example. I told Robert Williams, ultimately all you have to do is watch. And all you have to do is, and if you do that, you're going to be successful.
That assist number jumps out at me. 4.8 assists when he's with Boston. He's such a facilitator for you guys on offense.
He really is. We try to play through him quite a bit. And, he's one of these guys that I thought got ahead of the curve. As the game became more spread out and bigs were asked to do more, he changed his game by increasing his range in his late 20s. And that was a huge thing. And now for us, he'll initiate offense. He can play off closeouts, and obviously he can shoot the ball. And, teams are a lot less likely to give up those open shots to guys like Al. And so the ability to put the ball on the floor and pass the ball is critical.
He began to do that in Atlanta, but he said that in recruiting by Boston, one of the first things out of your mouth was, you really could facilitate starting our offense. And to him, it was like, oh, great, somebody sees what I see.
Well, it was interesting this year because we had, at one point in time, we had Smart, Larkin, and Kyrie out in January. And so all we had from a point guard standpoint was Terry Rozier. And so when Terry sat, Al ran the point. And, we played out of all kinds of just simple actions, but it was great because, he could bring the ball up. He's a great passer. He's a very unselfish player. He's good with getting you into offense, and so we've been fortunate enough to be able to have him do that. So.
And smart enough to realize what you had when you got him, and put him in situations he could take advantage of. Go back with me. We got a minute left. Sitting here last year, he obviously was a heck of a player. We knew that from watching him in college. Jason Tatum played extremely well here last year. Did you think he could do what he did this year?
I don't think it's our job as coaches to put ceilings on guys. At the same time, I think that when you consider the fact that he was 19 when the season started, 20 when it ended, and the consistency with which he played, and the way his game rose after January. A lot of times people hit a wall and stop and fade. He just kept getting better and better and better all the way through the playoffs. You know, we've talked a lot about this summer with him, like this can't be the highlight though, you know, and it's about going back to work and getting even better at some of the things you want to get better at, and getting stronger and working on some of those things that people are inevitably going to try to take away, because he's got a chance to be special. But you know, special's not for everybody, and so you know, but we think he certainly can be, and we believe in him.
You mentioned that the game exposes you if you're not ready. When do you take the time to plan and say, well, for next year, when do you do that? During the season?
I think
after
you're
the
always
season?
doing that, and PJ would attest to this. You don't have a plane flight where the pen and paper aren't out thinking about that. But I think you really, or I really, lock into it when our roster's set. You know, and so we know exactly what we have. Now, I thought that was the case last August, and it flipped on August 25th.
Everything goes out the window.
Then it goes out the window, all those pieces of paper.
The life of a coach. Brad Stevens, thank you again. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Good luck next year as well. Thank you.